Welcome to Fight Club 24/7. My name's Johnny Rashman. Right, let's get straight into it. Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury. Right, I put a question out last week across all my socials, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and I asked, why do you think Jake Paul will beat Tommy Fury? And I said I'll explain every single reason why you think that, and I'll break it down. So here we go. Right. First of all, I want to say I just cannot believe how many people think Jake Paul's going to win this fight. I mean, I've seen clips of people off YouTube, presenters, fighters, all just talking, just literally saying they think Jake Paul will win. Tommy's not really fought anyone. But the one thing they don't do, they don't break down each other's skills. They don't say that. They just say, oh, they think Jake Paul will win. How do you think he'll win? They're not going to break it down like I will. I will break it down, and it's not any hate, and it's not any bias. I'm not biased towards Tommy Fury, right? And I don't hate Jake Paul, contrary to what people think. I give my opinion. I have strong opinions. I did the same when Devin Haney fought Kambosos. I said from day one, Devin Haney was going to win that fight by his jab. It's going to be easy for him. He's going to comfortably beat him. Same with Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte. And by the way, they were 50-50 fights before. Right, so this is not me. It wasn't hate towards Kambosos or Whyte. It was an opinion. Like, this isn't hate towards Jake Paul. This is my opinion. Now, if I get it wrong, I'll have to bear the consequences. I'll get abused on social media. I'll get a lot of stick. But that's all it is. Listen, I'm prepared for it. At the end of the day, if you're going to go on YouTube, you have to be prepared at some stage that you're going to get a load of stick. You're going to go viral over something. There might be a clip. Maybe you've had a fight with someone in a pub. Whatever it is, you open yourself up to the world, right? And I don't mind that. No problem. Right? I know at some stage I'm going to get some stick, and I'm prepared for it. I'm mentally strong. There's nothing anyone can say that will affect me. Right? I always say, I know what I'm talking about, that my outlets are about strong opinions, and we go at it. Listen, I go at it even with people I like. I'll go at it. You know, I'm not perfect. Sometimes I might snap at someone. You know, if I'm trying to tell you something, I'm keep trying to tell you something, and you're telling me I'm wrong, I take that a bit personal, because if you follow me, you'll know I'm pretty right more often than not. Do you know what I mean? I take this very seriously. Boxing's very dear to me. I think about it 24/7. Right? As I say, I've been around the sport. I know fighters. Right? I speak to people in the game. I always say this on my videos. Right? So I'm not just a fan who's giving an opinion. I'm actually around the sport to a certain aspect. Right? So I like to think I know what I'm talking about. And with this, I believe Tommy Fury will knock Jake Paul out. The odds are concerning. I did a video the other day. I don't know why they're so high. That is concerning. I hope it's not a glorified sparring session. I'm going to say that. I hope that doesn't happen. I will know if that happens, and I will call it out, because people are betting on the outcome. People are paying for pay-per-view. We want to see a fight. I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but when I see odds like that, I start thinking things, right? I'm an overthinker anyway. I always think the worst case scenario. So that way I'm not surprised by anything. But I'm going to treat this as a legit fight. I'll give, as I've said a million times, you might not have heard me say it, but I've said it. Right, it might not be a million times, but I've said it a few times. I give Jake Paul big credit for taking this fight. Right? He's come off YouTube. He's now fighting a professional boxer. No matter what level you think Tommy is, ballsy, I give him credit. Okay. First one up is Harley01996. I know who Harley is. He regularly comments on my social channels. Hope you're good, mate. Right. So you put, I don't rate Tommy's boxing ability much higher than Jake's. He's done it longer, yes, but Jake has done it more consistently from camp to camp, etc. I'd say 60-40 in favour of Tommy, but I wouldn't be surprised Jake shows him up on the night either. For me, this fight could go either way quite easily, with the wrong mistake or the wrong punch from either of them. Tommy has fought 5 times since 2020 and Jake has fought 6 times. In that time, and has been training hard with very little time in between each fight and going from camp to camp, etc. Tommy seems to have his focus on many things and puts boxing on the back burner. His discipline doesn't quite seem enough for him to truly learn anything new. Just keeps practicing what he already knows and hasn't shown much improvement. All I can say is there's a reason Jake wants to fight Tommy. He sees weaknesses he can exploit. Let's wait and see if Tommy shows up for this fight and see how it goes. I think this will be a closer fight than what people think. Right. Some things I might agree with in that. I can see where it's coming from. But it's this thing about Tommy's fought 5 times since 2020 and Jake has fought 6 times. In that time, he's been training hard with very little time in between each fight. But that's not true. right? Jake Paul fought 3 times in 2021. April, August, December against Askren, Woodley, and 1 time in 2022 against Silver. Tommy Fury fought 3 times in 2021, February, June, August. So they're quick back-to-back fights. And then in April in 2022. So you're saying that this idea that Jake's been in camp and he's fighting regularly with little time in between camps is not true. That you're just thinking that literally isn't true. Tommy is the one who's had quick fire back-to-back camps. He, as I say, February, June, August. Jake was April, August, December in 2021, right? So it's not really true. And when you say Tommy's not learned new things, again, that's rubbish. He's training at a gym I know, Elite Boxer in Bolton. Right? I've spoke to the coaches there. I've spoke to people who know his sparring partners, and they all say he's improved tremendously. I've heard Tommy's been looking very strong in sparring. Right? That's what I've been hearing. Even before Tommy said that a few days ago, he said he's been knocking people out. I heard that on the grapevine anyway. I didn't pull it out because sometimes people tell me things and I don't pull it out there, right? But I know he's been looking strong. So he has been learning new things. He's around proper boxing people. Alex Matvienko used to be a professional boxer, trained under the late Oliver Harrison, great Oliver Harrison. So these are boxing people. So this imagination that Tommy's not training, he's not doing it properly, it's just an imagination. It's just your imagination. He has been training for this fight. K55TSM. I can only think of 2 possible ways JP wins. Puncher's chance, a shot from the gods that wipes TF. TF is contracted to take a fall. Tommy Fury is contracted to take a fall. Seems totally implausible, but not beyond the realms of possibility. A lot of people are saying that about, is he going to dive and all that? No, I don't believe that for 1 second. Right? Now, when we're talking about fixing fights, no one's saying people choreograph a fight and they're going to tell you when they're going to go down. No one's saying that, right? So I don't believe Tommy's going to go in and take a dive. I think that's sort of shy, right? He's not going to do that. It's illegal, and he's not going to do that. However, you can have a boxing fight and not go to knock the guy out. It happens in sparring all the time. It happens in fights all the time. Journeymen do it because they want to fight the week after, so they don't engage. They don't want to get knocked out. Right? So you can fight someone without looking to knock them out. If that happens, I'll be fucking fuming and I will call it out. Doesn't matter who will know who I'm friendly with, I will call that out. Believe you me, other people might not, I will. But I don't believe that's going to happen. I believe it's a legit fight. The odds are what they are. I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to give the fighters the respect that it's a legit fight. Adnan Hussein. Mo, how you doing, mate? I used to work with you. Hope you're good. I think Logan Paul was the better boxer when he fought KSI, but KSI was just windmilling and got the decision. Just because you might be a better boxer doesn't always mean you're going to win against an aggressive opponent. It's true, right? But then look who he's fighting. He's not fighting a boxer, is he? If he was fighting a world champion, a British level fighter, I'd agree. He's fighting a very sloppy boxer who makes basic mistakes in Jake Paul. So it is what it is. Philip, answer. Jake does hit harder than Tommy, so that's possibly why he could win the fight. A lot of people say this. I think it's a bit of a myth. Who was Jake Paul knocked out his own size? Right? He's knocked out a YouTuber, a basketball player much smaller than him. Ben Askren, come on. Just came off hip replacement surgery, been retired 18 months, right? Could hardly walk, never mind box. Slow as anything. Terrible hands, right? And he knocked Tyrone Woodley out in the second fight. The first fight, he hit him with everything, never moved. I mentioned the other day, apart from a right hand that connected and his legs did a little wobble, but didn't knock him out, didn't look like knocking him out. Tyrone Woodley took everything. So the idea is this monster puncher. Again, people are just looking at the knockouts and they're thinking, wow, look how he's knocked people out. He's a scary puncher. Do you know what the facts are? They both knocked the same amount of people out. Tommy's not 4 people out. This guy's not 4 people out. So this myth that he's a big, strong puncher, don't buy it. Let me see him knock Tommy Fury out. Sean Hope. It's a 50-50 fight. I could see Jake by KO or Tommy on the decision. Listen, that's your opinion. I cannot understand the life of me why people aren't saying Tommy can knock this guy out. Like, this guy has shown vulnerabilities against Woodley, even against Silver. Like, even Ben Askren, I'm not lying, but in the first few seconds of that fight, go and watch it back. Ben Askren stands in front of him, right? Jake Paul throws a sloppy shot. He rolls under and catches him with a left hook. I'm not joking, and that's Ben Askren, right? So I believe Tommy Fury can knock this man out comfortably. Jaden Anthony, hope you're good. Their level of opposition is very comparable. Tommy has fought complete stiffs and Jake has fought retired MMA legends. But they are MMA fighters and they were old, so I give that to you. Jake Paul has fought on the big stage in front of millions a number of times now. And in some of those fights, he didn't know what to expect. The Woodley and Silver fights were massive step-ups and he performed well. Meanwhile, Tommy's been finding on undercards against people who everybody already knows he can beat, not challenging himself. Tommy seems to find it hard under pressure. I've seen in interviews he says, if I fought in the ring how I perform in the gym, I'll get the job done easily. That to me screams not being able to handle the bright lights, and we all know Jake can handle it. Tommy has a lot of pressure from his family to beat Jake. They both said if he doesn't spark Jake, he'll have to change his name. And like I said before, I don't think he'll handle the pressure. Jake Paul has shown one-punch knockout power, something Tommy hasn't got, in my opinion. And yes, I know the people Jake have knocked out are old, but Tommy's fought guys with 10% win percentage and knocked them out clean. Remember, when Tommy fought an MMA fighter who was 2-0, that fight was very close, and some thought it was a draw. Surely Jake Paul would be better than 2-0 novice who works a normal job. Jake Paul has dedicated his life to boxing for the last few years and has exceeded many people's expectations. Anyway, I'm looking forward to your response and glad you've given old Jake a bit of credit. I do give Jake credit. A lot of people just think I hate him because I have a strong opinion about this. Like, all my opinions, you follow me, you'll know I'm not half in, half out. I'm fucking all in, right? And I'll back myself to the end. And if I'm wrong, I'll face it. I'm not wrong. There's not many times I am, right? But when I am, I have to face it. But a few things with this, right? Jake Paul has shown one-punch knockout power, something Tommy hasn't. I've just mentioned about his power and who he's knocked out, but this thing about Tommy not having knockout power, Tommy fought a guy, right, called Gredo Kravisky. I think it was his third fight or fourth fight. It was on the 13th of November 2020. And Tommy knocked him out. He was 0-11 at the times. So that's 0 wins, 11 losses, right? But since then, he's still 0 wins and 46 losses. So it's a bad record, isn't it? But he's obviously going up against people. He's a journeyman away fighter where he's fighting people better than him. He's just looking to get the money, right? But he's only been stopped 6 times out of 46, right? So that's quite durable. So, okay, you might not be winning the fights, but you're giving work. You're giving your opponent work. Now, I'm not saying this guy's a great boxer or anything like that, this opponent, but Tommy stopped this guy, and only 6 people out of 46 have stopped him. So this idea that Tommy can't punch, bullshit. Again, people are just imagining this thing that Tommy can't punch. It's just absolutely baffling. It's baffling. If he was fighting Vidal Riley or a world champion or a British level fighter, I could understand. Okay, I could understand these things. He's fighting better opposition, but look who he's fighting. There's too many people talking about what Tommy can do and not what Jake can do, because they don't want to look into it. They're just seeing Tommy. They've got this thing in their head that he's not a boxer. He doesn't box. He chokes under the pressure. He can't punch. As I say, they're both not the same number of men out. Jai Swan, I hope that's how you pronounce that. Hope you're well. Jake Paul beat Anderson Silva, who beat Julio Cesar Chavez, who was a former world champion. The whole crossover boxing scene is a mess and logic seems to have flown out the window. For you to be sure that Fury wins but yet would refuse to bet on it makes me think you're craving attention with all these community posts. I'm not subscribed to you. Thank you. Subscribe, like and comment. But you're everywhere. Or you're just a bit of a bullshitter. No hate, I don't know you at all. Just don't think this is anywhere near close cut as you make it out to be. Well, first of all, I'm not a bullshitter, right? If you go on my social medias, follow me. There's plenty of people who will back my claim up that I know what I'm talking about. My work's there. There's plenty of predictions that I've said, right, that have come true. Plenty that the so-called experts haven't. Believe you me, you tell me one person on this planet who predicted Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall that Jack Catterall will drop Josh Taylor. It will be a close fight. It will be a lot closer than what people think. I literally broke down what was going to happen. And let me tell you something. No one gave him a chance before. Not any fighters, not any expert. And no one said he'd drop Josh Taylor. I did, right? So I ain't a bullshitter, mate. Next one, Conor McFadden. Hope you're good. Tommy Fury is useless. Jake Paul is also useless. Jake Paul won't choke on the big stage. Tommy will. Now, look, it's a big occasion. I'm not going to lie. It's a massive occasion. A lot of pressure on Tommy. He's got to knock him out. A decision's no good unless he just beats him up. He's got to knock him out in 4 or 5 rounds. If he doesn't, it's not gonna look good. At the end of the day, Tommy's talking about being a world champion and dedicating himself to the sport. You have to knock this guy out pretty comfortably. Right, and pretty convincingly, to be quite honest with you. So I can understand there's the pressure on him. However, it's in Saudi Arabia, right? It's going to be as quiet as the opera, right? It ain't in Cleveland, Ohio, or in America, or at Wembley, or in England. It's in Saudi Arabia, so the pressure, the fans are going to be there. It's not really going to be that loud. We saw AJ and Usyk there. The atmosphere ain't great. Right, so this whole pressure and all that, I think it plays into his hand. It's in Saudi Arabia. I understand there's pressure, but at the end of the day, when the bell goes, it's all about boxing ability, right? And Tommy Fury has the better boxing ability. Abhimanyu Singh, hope you're good. Tommy has one advantage, that's technique. Jake has the advantage with power and heart. He's been in 8-round fights on the big stage. He's been hurt. Lost rounds, bounced back, while Tommy, last 3 fights were all terrible. Barely 4 rounds, dancing around, not even a good finish. I don't really have any big hopes with Tommy. The guy doesn't seem dedicated. Okay, I can understand you saying Tommy's not dedicated. I think he's in the unusual position where he had 2 professional boxing fights before he went into Love Island, not after. He was a boxer before he went in. He was training with Ricky Hatton. Right, he's gone into Love Island, obviously to boost his profile. It's a smart move. Look what's come off the back of that. It's a smart move. Then you had COVID as well, by the way. Right, so I can understand people. People give him a bit of stick with this. I heard a YouTuber say, "Oh, he's only had 8 fights in 3 years," but we did have the pandemic, remember? And he did fight in the pandemic. One of those fights, as I said, when he knocked that guy out, was in the pandemic. So. All these things that Tommy doesn't fight properly, or Tommy's not active in the 8-round things. And okay, Jake's been 8 rounds, but look who he's fighting. He's fighting old men and not putting the pressure on. I've seen a lot of footage of Jake, and he's horrendously poor. For professional standard, he just makes the basic of mistakes. And the longer the fight goes on, the more tired he gets. His hands are down. His feet are heavy. There's no head movement. He's like this. He's just falling into the shots. Okay, he knocked Woodley out with that shot. Okay, you have to give him credit. But I don't think he's hit a competent boxer with that shot in the 8th round. It was just a mile away. All you do is just tuck up. I think Woodley was very tired himself. Remember, he had 2 weeks to prepare for that fight, and I think he was winning that fight. It was Jake Paul. It wasn't a great performance, but a lot of people just seen a knockout. So, but in regards to the 8 rounds, okay, he's been 8 rounds. I'll give him that. Tommy hasn't, but who's he fought in the 8 rounds and not putting the pressure on him? Do you understand what I mean? He ain't the competitive because of Jake's level. Do you know what I mean? That's why it's the competitive fights. But I can understand you saying that. Saint Domingo 1. Even if Jake wins this, he will still get hate for not fighting a seasoned boxer. Tommy also needs a knockout because a loss, or if it goes the distance, then he will lose all credibility. Yeah, I agree with that. In regards to Jake, no, you give him credit. You have to give him credit. Listen, no one's saying Tommy Fury is going to be a world champion or is a world-class prospect, but he's a boxer. He's someone who is not done MMA for 15 years and come into boxing and had a few fights, right? That's not a boxer. That's an MMA fighter who's had a few boxing fights, right? A boxer is someone who was focused on the sport consistently, not done any other sports, just consistently focused on boxing. That's what a boxer is. Sec557, Anderson Silva had no pro boxing experience, but he beat Chavez Jr. ? Right, I get this a lot. I've said this in a few of my videos. Chavez Jr. was one of the most undisciplined fighters in his prime, right? So you might be of a certain age where you might not know him in his prime, right? He didn't really fight anyone with a pulse till 40 fights. The world title he got was a bit of a joke, to be honest. He didn't really fight anyone until he fought Sergio Martinez, I think in 2012. And to be fair, he was getting outbeat, outboxed. And in the last round, he nearly stopped Martinez. It was pretty impressive. But you're looking at him now, you can't, he's been to rehab since the fight. He's had substance abuse problems, right? He's not a dedicated man. Right, just because you beat this version of Chavez Jr. does not make you a boxer. It doesn't. Anderson Silva is an MMA fighter who has had a few boxing fights, right? He stands like a Muay Thai fighter. He doesn't stand like a boxer. He stands square on. Jake Paul knocked him down because he was standing square on. He's got good hands. He can box, and I have no doubt he could have been a professional boxer if he dedicated himself, but you can't say he's a professional boxer. He's 47. 47 now. Okay, it's a good win over Chavez at this stage, but come on. Yes, he's had pro boxing experience, but he's not a boxer, right? BG, hope you're good. I think it's a 50-50, but Tommy is lazy with his lead hand at times, and JP has a half decent cross. I can see Fury being overconfident, trying to be relaxed and eating a right hand, or simply being lazy, as he can do at times. If he's hit with the right shot, he can go down. Yeah, I agree with that. Jake does have a decent right hand. But I think as the fight goes on, I think he'll just become heavier and sloppier with that. Tommy's not Tyrone Woodley, right? I think Tommy, the basic jab in the face and just keeping your guard up would negate that. You just keep your guard up. Somebody throws a sloppy right hand like that, you just keep it up. I've seen a few of Jake's fights where, fighters are coming in and he throws it and he throws it okay, right? What I'm going to say, he throws it like Muhammad Ali. You know what I mean? It's like, he throws it okay. Let's see how he does against Tommy. Let's see how he does. Let's see if he lands it. Let's see what happens if Tommy blocks it or rolls under, and counters him. Let's see that, because we keep talking about Tommy. Let's see Jake, when a boxer puts it on him, let's see how he deals with it. Kush Lord, anything can happen in boxing. You should know that. Jake definitely has a chance to beat Tommy, and he takes one good shot. Listen, it's boxing. If he lands a shot and knocks him out, I'll have to give him the credit, Adam, Tommy doesn't have knockout power. Jake does. The fight is 10 rounds, so it's unlikely to go the distance. Therefore, Paul wins. I think it's 8 rounds, actually. Pretty sure it's 8 rounds. Again, we've gone on about this power thing. Tommy doesn't have power. It's just not true. Like, you're all going off the last exhibition and the Anthony Taylor fight. Everyone keeps going on about this Anthony Taylor fight, right? Let me tell you something. It was 4 rounds, right? Do you know if Jake Paul and Tyrone Woodley was 4 rounds? Guess what? There'd have been no knockouts, right? It's 4 rounds. A small, scrappy wrestler who's tough like Taylor, and he's a lot smaller than Tommy, can kid his way to not getting knocked out. All they have to do is duck under, grab and hold, and not look to engage. And sometimes when you fight in a smaller fight, it's hard to get the distance. You can't. Your shots are going over the head, and it's hard to get the distance. Tommy was fighting in America. I think a lot of people are going off that fight. Just 4 rounds. Idris Virgo went 4 rounds with him. It doesn't mean anything. You can survive 4 rounds. If it went 8 rounds, different story. I don't think Tommy's team wanted 8 rounds for whatever reason, but if it would have gone on longer, he'd have knocked him out. Majid Hussein, Tommy will gas out if it's a 12-round fight. He looks poor when boxing. What are you comparing it to? When I've watched him fight, this time he's looked okay. Richie Woodall was a fantastic commentator, bit of a British legend. He said he's been impressed with Tommy in his first few fights. Right? Again, okay, I know he's not fighting world-class opponents, but you've got to understand he's 23. Right? He's 23. People keep going, look at his record, who's he fought? Who's anyone fought? When you were newly turned pro, anyone, look at Ryan Garcia, look at Tank Davis, look at Canelo, look at any of them in the first 5-6 fights. Do you understand what I mean? Like, Everyone keeps going on about it. He's a novice pro himself, Tommy. He's learning on the job. He didn't have an extensive amateur career. He had 12 amateur fights, got to regional tournaments, semi-finals, got to semi-finals of regional tournaments, right? So, you know, people keep going off this resume and all that. He's 23. He's a newly turned pro. Look who he's fighting. He's not fighting any type of boxer with experience. He's fighting a guy who was learned to box 4 years ago, right? Jake Paul by knockout. I don't think Tommy has it in him. Again, Jake Paul knockout. It's all Tommy. It's like people have just got this thing in their head about Tommy. I don't know why. I don't understand. I just think you've just been hoodwinked by Jake Paul. Like, absolutely just stone cold. Blinkers on and just think this thing that Tommy will gas out. He doesn't have it in him. If he doesn't, he doesn't. We'll see. I think the only way Tommy loses is if the occasion gets to him. Jake is very slow, although he claims to be fast as Bivol. Yep. Or the shit he talks. Tommy should be able to counter him all day long with them levers. Yep. Tommy's got long hands. I expect him just to bust him up with the jab. Wait till he feels a strong jab. Let's see how he reacts when he's getting double jabbed and the right hand comes and the body shot comes. Let's see. Right? Let's see how this big power punching, multi-talented boxer who's got all the heart that there is, let's see how he deals with it. Jojo Valens, hope you're good. Tommy has weak defence and gets caught with the overhand right a lot. His biggest weakness is Jake's biggest strength. We've seen Jake has power in that right hand, and sooner or later in the fight, Jake will land one, and unless Tommy has Tyrone's chin, he will wobble at the very least. Again, it's all Tommy. It's all what Tommy can't do. What about what he can do? Right? Let's see how Jake tastes an overhand right. Let's see it. When he's got a younger man who's able to keep him at distance with a jab, get out of range, come back in, bang, 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 put combinations in, step out again. Let's see how he deals with it. Let's see if he's somehow turned into Floyd Mayweather with his defence, because of what I see, he's like a big lobbyist. Red as a lobster, like this, hands down. So let's see. Howarth _ Josh, hope you're good, mate. I'm not going to lie, I'm 50-50 with this. I feel as though, even though Jake's been fighting the known fighter, not boxers, look at the difference in the people Tommy's fought. Fair enough, pro boxers are journeymen, as we call them, but I generally think Woodley batters everyone. Tommy Fury had fought, therefore I think Jake's resume is a bit better. Technically, Tommy is better, but Jake has the power advantage. Again, it's the power, people are looking into it. What about Tommy's power? Right? You think Tommy Fury can't punch? As I say, he ain't fighting a world champion. Look who he's fighting. You don't think Tommy Fury can knock this man out? I do. I believe he'll knock him out cold. Imran 18, hope you're good. I think Jake beats Tommy simply because he's fought better opponents. Will Tommy beat Anderson Silva? Anderson Silva would whoop all of Tommy's opponents and possibly Tommy himself. Jake looked very good against Silva. Meanwhile, Fury's always vulnerable to a hook or overhand right. Jake's best punch is overhand. It's also a 10-round fight. Tommy hasn't even done 8, let alone 10. Jake has done 8 twice, both times against tough opponents. I feel Tommy will start technically very good, but his technique will fall apart as the rounds go, because he will gas out in the later rounds. He will become sloppy and Jake will clip him. Jake drops over in the 8th, so we all know he's affected by fatigue. What I'd say to that is go and watch all of Jake fights back, take the commentary off, and don't look at Jake as a superstar, and actually watch the fight. His technique goes after 2-3 rounds, he's looking tired. Tyrone Woodley had him on Bambi legs, didn't he? All over the ring. That was Tyrone Woodley. You know, you could say what you want about him. Never boxed. That was his first boxing match, wasn't it? You know, you keep saying again, Tommy can't gas. Okay, well, I can understand you thinking that because he's not gone the 8 rounds or whatever. But again, he's not fighting the boxer who's going to put the pace on like Manny Pacquiao. He's fighting a guy who doesn't really throw that many punches. I mean, I can see some things Jake does well for a YouTuber. Like he feints to the body, he level changes and comes up. And, you know, with Woodley, I think he did lure him in. And that, to be fair, you got to give him credit for that shot. As again, let's see if he lands it on the boxer. But, you know, it's all what will Tommy what will Tommy do? Will Tommy gas? Will Tommy gas? As I say, let's look into Jake, right? Because I'm not hearing much of that. Watch his fights. Look at the technique. No commentary. Just watch it. You'll understand what I mean. Ben Ogden Fitness. Hope you're good. I'm not a big fan of either. I'm leaning more towards Jake Paul just because he's been a bit more active. He seems a bit more relaxed when he's in the ring too. Tommy's a bit stiffer. I know that's not a deciding factor. I'm sure Tommy's chin's been tested more though coming from a fighting family. Jake's chin still got a question mark. Jake Paul on points. Yeah, I can understand that. When you say more about he's been more active, as I say, he's not been more active. This is just what people think because Jake Paul's always on social media. That's his job. Jake Paul's job is to put out content that sells, right? Not what is the truth, what's going to get people talking. That's what he does. That's his job. So he's on there all the time. You see his face everywhere. Tommy's not interested. He don't care. He's got, yes, he was on Love Island and he has to do appearances and all of that, but he's not on YouTube every day. He's not calling people out every day. He keeps himself to himself, and I think people, because they see Jake all the time, they think Tommy's not active or he's not in the gym. Listen, I know he's been training for this fight. Right, very, very hard. JJ, hope you're good. Paul has become a good fighter. Tommy is living off his family's name. They are not professional boxers by any stretch. One is the YouTube king and the other one is a reality TV star. Fair play to them finally getting it on, but let's us all use our brains here. It's only for money and fame. Not one of them are ever going to win the world title. Tommy has more to lose than Paul because it will disgrace his family name. Look of Tommy's losses. If Tommy loses, it's game over for him, and if Paul wins, he's got his first actual boxing win on his record. Could anyone ever see Paul facing Yard better be over Callum Smith? No, that's ridiculous. But look, not everyone can be a world champion. I always say this: boxing is about levels, right? Some people might only be a European champion, or British champion, or a Southern Area champion, or a journeyman. Jake Paul, just because he's not going to fight better be over Smith doesn't mean anything. And same with Tommy. Tommy's obviously got a better chance of fighting them. I'm not saying he is, but he's been boxing longer. So yeah, okay, they're not going to be world champions or anything like that. But to say Tommy's just a reality TV star again, I don't buy that because he was boxing before. Jake Paul is the reality TV star, YouTube, whatever you want to call him. He's a YouTuber who has learned to box. Tommy was a boxer who went on reality TV. There's a difference. Callum Price, I'm pretty sure you said the other day, I'm shit at what I do, along those lines. And what's Fight Disciples YouTube channel? Not mine, because they know what they're talking about. They break down fights like me. I like them boys, they're the Fight Disciples. But I'll answer your question. I'll answer what you've stated. Tommy Fury hasn't showed anybody that he's even Southern Area level. He lives off the Fury name. I love Tyson, I love John, I'm a fan of Fury. Tommy struggled with Anthony Taylor, who's an MMA fighter, not even a good one, who was smaller. Jake has shown that while, yes, he hasn't got Southern Area level boxing either, but has shown he can knock you out cold early on, late. And also Tommy isn't taking it seriously, the boxing game. You can see it on his Instagram. Yard had no amateur experience. He has a world title fight on Saturday. This comment was last week. Because he's always in the gym learning. Tommy's out being Molly May's doll. As I say, it's a bit different. Right? Anthony Yard is a phenomenal fighter. Right? He's been training the whole time. He's been gearing up to world level. Right? Tommy himself says he's not Tyson Fury. He wants to be the best he can be. I know he says he wants world titles. A lot of boxers say that. But again, it's all Tommy and Tommy. What about Jake? You keep saying Tommy's not dedicated. How would you know he's not dedicated? What are you going off his Instagram? What have you seen on his Instagram that tells you he's not dedicated? What? You've seen a few clips. Come on, right? Do you know people who know him? Do you know people who have seen him train? And I mean boxing, not in the gym. I've spoke to people and they say he's been fucking dedicated, right? For the last 6-7 months, he's been dedicating himself to this, right? So I think it's a bit harsh, people saying that. I can understand in the past, as I say, he's come off Love Island, right? So he's in the position where he can make more money going to a nightclub than boxing. So that's hard. That's going to take your desire away. It will with any fighter. Apart from Floyd Mayweather, if you have big money, but especially early on in your career, that's kryptonite because you're not chasing the money. You're not hungry. You've got the money. You're good. We all know that saying. It's hard to get up in the morning and do your road work with silk pajamas on. Do you know what I mean? Tommy's got silk pajamas. He's living good. He's good. Right, so give him a bit of slack. Everyone's quick to hammer him when they're not living in his shoes. But again, when you compare him to who he's fighting, look who he's fighting. Fighting Jake Paul. Kyle B, hope you're good. Money on the line says Paul will win. Back your boy, £100 friendly ranger. Listen, mate, do you know how many people who have offered to put bets up with me? I swear to God, right? I've been inundated. Come on, put a bet on. I'm not betting on it. That's it. I don't trust the odds as it is, to be quite honest with you. I'm not fucking going anywhere near it. I don't trust anything at the moment. I need to see the fight because the odds have got me concerned. I don't know why they're so high for Tommy to knock him out. So I'm not betting anything, to be quite honest with you. And I'm pretty sure you'll thank me when Tommy wins. Jake Goodman, hope you're good. Fundamentally, Jake Paul is awful. Poor footwork, off balance, but carries power. Tommy's fundamentally good, but never boxes a headline with the pressure of losing to a wally like Jake. 50-55, hope for boxing Tommy wins. Yeah, I could understand that. Good comment. The pressure, as I say, it's in Saudi Arabia, so the fans won't be going wild. But, yep, there's pressure on them. I can understand that. Ben Castle, hope you're good. Tommy has only gone 4 rounds. Apart from the Daniel Baraski fight, which was 6 rounds, a 10-round fight could cause Tommy issues, especially with his build. Unless Tommy gets him out early, which is a possibility, Jake has dealt with adversity a few times in his recent fights and has shown he has a decent chin and can endure quite a few shots to the body. So I doubt Tommy will get him out of there early, and if he tries to, it could be risky as he could gas himself out. On the other hand, Jake has gone 8 rounds a couple of times and can show he carries power late on in the fight. Tommy hasn't dealt with much adversity in his fights apart from a shot or two from Jordan Grant, who was brought in on a few days' notice and only in front of 100 people. So I do wonder how Tommy would deal with adversity in front of an arena. A lot of pressure on him. As I say, we've touched on the pressure and all that. But again, let's see how Jake deals with it. Let's see how Jake deals with the fact that he's going in against a young, hungry boxer. Let's see how he deals with it, because when everyone leaves the ring, no one's there, right? Your YouTube videos aren't going to help. Your team ain't going to help you, right? You've talked. Let's see what skill you've got. So again, it's all Tommy. Look at Jake. As I say, watch his fights. Stop looking at knockouts. Go and watch his fights. And you'll see his last 3 fights. Go and watch against 2 Woodley fights and Anderson Silva and watch. Right? And look at the form, the technique. It's sloppy. Silva's 47. He's not going to put the pressure on. He's got no desire at this time of his career. He's a granddad, for God's sake. Right? Don't get me wrong. He tested himself. He tested himself because Jake's at a certain level. I give him immense respect for coming off YouTube and even competing with these guys. Listen, it's not an easy thing to do. Give him respect, and yes, he has shown he's got heart, right? But let's see when he's someone really putting the pressure on him. Let's see how he deals with it. Scott Lewis, hope you're good, mate. If Tommy Fury is a proper boxer, he should distance himself and shut down any YouTube-related fights and think about getting up the boxing rankings in Britain and Europe. Yeah, he has boxed amateur and is raised in a boxing family. It doesn't make him a good boxer. But it does make him a boxer, I suppose. On the other hand, Jake Paul started boxing a few years ago. He has stayed quite active with the people he has fought. Yes, these guys aren't boxers, but they are very hard men who get smashed in the head and body with all types of shots and elbows. Yet the past and the no walkovers. I don't know, I just feel Jake Paul has something, and if he has it, he could knock out Tommy. Plus, he has been with the same trainer for years. Yeah, the trainer, Tommy, has been with different trainers and all that. He also goes on to say he may have been boxing for technically a longer time period than Jake. However, I wonder how seriously he took it early on in his life. He isn't a boxer who's been putting his all in boxing since early childhood and has had 100 plus amateur fights. He's only had 12 amateur fights, which is more than Jake, However, in boxing terms, 12 amateur fights isn't an impressive pedigree. Plus, he isn't being trained by the best trainers in the world. He's still being trained by his dad, who wasn't a great boxer in his time. You wonder why Tyson left training with him to move on. Jake has only been boxing for 5 years or so. However, he's took it very seriously, getting up there and putting his all into it and being trained and coached by some of the best. You wonder if Tommy has that hunger to get up early in the morning, to train hard, live comfortably and having breakfast in bed, etc. Do I think Tommy could win this fight? Definitely, but I do think Jake Paul has a reasonable chance. Yes, he does. You talk about the best trainers, who, with all due respect to BJ Flowers, he was a fighter, warrior, got a lot of respect for him. As a credential as a trainer, you're saying he's a world-class trainer? Who's he trained? Apart from Jake Paul? Unless I'm wrong. John Fury, again, that's a bit harsh. He trained Tyson. He's a heavyweight champion of the world. Yes, he's moved on from him, but at the end of the day, he was the one who taught Tyson those boxing fundamentals. Right? So John Fury's no one's mug. People might like to have a laugh and a joke about him, but he's a boxing man, a real boxing man. Again, this thing about the pressure, when is Tommy taking it seriously? He's taking this fight seriously. That's what I've been told. Zaki_V1, hope you're good, mate. Again, he's saying, haven't seen anything to indicate that Tommy's on it. And I do think him and Jake aren't that far in skill. Tommy has better footwork. Look, again, people are saying, I don't think Tommy's on it. But where are you getting it from? Do you want me to tell you why? And as I explained before, it's because you've got this thing in your head, because you see Jake everywhere, because that's his job. He puts out content. That's not Tommy's job. Tommy was a boxer before he went on Love Island. Right? So a lot of people are just thinking, because Jake's everywhere, he's more active, he's more this. More active, he fought one fight last year. He's fought 3 fights in 2021 for a novice pro. That ain't good. Right, Tommy, at least he's had excuses. He had COVID, he was on Love Island. There's no excuse for Jake. You're a novice pro, you fight 4 or 5 times a year. That's what you do. That's what most pros do, and especially someone with so much limited experience, you fight every month if you can to get that experience in. So this thing that Jake's more active and Tommy's not on it, you're going to be shocked on fight now. So there you have it. When is it now? February 26th. I just can't wait for this fight to happen. I can't wait, right? And it's not even the fight. It's just, I need to see what's going to happen. Now, I'll put my opinions out there, right? And there's a lot that's gone into this, right? And as I've always said, I believe Tommy will knock him out, right? And nothing else can do. He has to go and knock him out comfortably. Otherwise, it's embarrassing, I've heard all the comments. Jake's, got this power, and he's been training so hard. And as I say, if you look at him, if you're looking at it through the eyes of a social media star, yes, he's improved. Yes, he's dedicated himself. But the idea that he's super training every day and this and that, and I've heard people say, oh, he's sparring with Lawrence Okoli. Well, I can go and spar with Callum Smith, and he'll play with me. Right, but I can still say I've sparred with him. Right, what's the sparring sessions gone like? Now, no disrespect to Lawrence, I like Lawrence, right, great fighter, but he's not going to slag Jake Paul off. Boxers don't do that. I'm pretty sure he would have been playing with Jake Paul, right? So people have just imagined this scenario about Tommy. It's all Tommy. Tommy can't do this. Tommy can't do that. Tommy can't do this. Tommy can't do that. Like I've said throughout this video, let's see what Jake Paul brings to the table, because he ain't fighting a 47-year-old man. He ain't fighting a retired MMA grappler who's never boxed before. He's not fighting a YouTuber. He's not even fighting a basketball player. He's fighting a boxer. No matter what level you think Tommy Fury is, he isn't someone who was focused on something else or was coming off an injury. He is a boxer. Right? I'm not saying he's world class, but he's someone who's learned fundamentals at an earlier age. Yes, he has to improve himself. He's a novice pro. He's a baby. He's 23. People forget he's a few years younger than Jake. Right? He's a novice pro, but he's been in gyms. Right? He's been in sweaty, dirty old gyms, skipping, sparring, learning the trade. You watch him, you can see he has the base of a boxer. He's very raw. And he, as I said the other day, he's in the mould of a Campbell Hatton and a Conor Benn, where they've got famous family members and they're young and raw and not much amateur experience. Okay, he's not cracked on like them because he's had Love Island, and you know, you have to factor that in. But look who he's fighting. He's fighting a guy who's been boxing for 4 years, right? And I believe that Tommy will put this guy to sleep very comfortably. Let me know what you think. Do you think I've answered those questions well? Do you think I've not? Do you still think Jake Paul will win? Let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know.